Okay, so in this Wealth Insights, I want to explain the difference between refinancing and the roll-in strategy. And the reason why I want to do it is simply because I see that a lot of my students or people that follow me in terms of my blogs and in terms of the Property Pro program that I've got and Property School and with all the information that there's on it, sometimes they get a little bit confused between how do you apply the difference, because there are people out there that tells them to refinance and then I tell them to roll in their money. First of all, refinancing is a technique, and in certain times it can work, but it is a very, very dangerous technique, and unless you've got the competency, I will definitely not advise you to follow this technique. The roll-in strategy is based on a strategy, and it is based on the Wealth Creators strategy as such. And the Wealth Creators strategy says it's the intelligent use of limited resources to go from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest possible time with the least amount of risk. So I've prepared a little Excel just to guide me, a spreadsheet to guide me so that I can quickly demonstrate the difference between the two. Let's tackle refinancing first. Let's assume that you buy a house. Your first house, you buy 100%, you get it for 100% bond, and you buy it for R1 million. So you've got an asset worth R1 million, you've got a bond worth R1 million, so the net equity at that point in time, 0. Right. You start with your career, you start making serious money, and the economy booms, not like at currently, but year 2000 to 2006, 2007, the banks just wanted to hand out money. They look at the situation, your property totally overvalued, and they come to you and they say, listen, we will give you R2 million bond because we want to get rid of money on this property. And we see that you are paying and you're a good standing citizen and you do what you're supposed to do. So the perceived market value of that property is 2 million. You've got R1 million bond on it, and they are prepared to give you another R1 million. So at the point that you take up the additional R1 million, you've got R1 million within your pocket that you can do whatever you want to do, but you've got R2 million house and you've got a R2 million bond. So the net equity that's in your pocket or somewhere is R1 million. I hope you've got it. Okay, now the gurus will come to you and say, okay, but now you have to reinvest this money. And the way to do it is to buy more properties. First of all, that's a fallacy. It's the growth on your money that's going to make you rich. It's not how many properties you've got. So for this example, I'm just going to use a very straightforward, simple way to try to explain it. You go and you buy another property that is worth 2 million. The banks are not going to give you the full 2 million bond on it. So you use the million rand equity that you've got as a deposit on this house. So on the new house, you've got a 2 million rand property with a R1 million bond. On the old house, you've got a property that is worth 2 million, but there's a 2 million bond on it. The old bond plus the refinancing bond that you've used as a deposit. Okay, so in effect, you've got 4 million rands worth of assets, but you've got 3 million rands worth of liabilities at that point in time. So net equity, 1 million. Okay, now, let's take the roll-in strategy. The roll-in strategy, I'm telling my students, when you do the analysis on that property, you based it on the 10-year moving average. And the surplus, you pay back additional so that you can lower your bond. That then becomes your equity that you can apply the roll-in strategy with. Okay, so let's take this example. In the first case, when you started off at 9%, because people live above their means, but at 9% your repayments would be 8,997 Rand and 26 cents. If you calculate it to determine the IRR on the 10-year moving average, the way that I'm instructing you in the property course, your repayments would be 10,390 Rand and 3 cents. The difference between the two is 1,392 rands and 77 cents, and then I explain how to use the Mercedes principle in order to help you to build up enough equity so that you can apply either as risk or either as the roll-in. So in a year's time, you'll have 16,713 Rand. You take that money, you apply the wealth creator strategy, the intelligent use of limited resources, and you start paying back your bond. So in 5 years' time, your bond is paid in full. And in the debt eradication courses and other courses that I'm presenting, I show you how simple and easy it is actually to pay off your house in full within a 5 to a 7 year term. Okay, now your house is paid in full. So what's your position? Your position is, according to market value, you've got a 2 million property, but you've got no bond on it. You've got an access bond of 1 million because the money is there, it's available, you can take it out immediately if you want to, but now it's your money. So your net equity is 2 million, that is of which 1 million Rand without going back to the bank, you can immediately take up. Now, let's assume that you now buy a new property. And let's assume the new property, just like in the first scenario with the refinancing, is also 2 million Rand. You go to the bank and you say, okay, I want to apply for it. They are prepared to give you 1 million Rand on the new property, a bond. You take the 1 million Rand, you pay it as a deposit. So what's your situation? On your old house, you've got 1 million, which is basically your money, but you use it now for the new property. And on the new property, you've got 1 million Rand. So total value, 2 million Rand. Total assets, 4 million. Total equity, 2 million. As you can see, there's a massive difference between the two. Now, let's start looking at the risk now. Okay, so in the first scenario, you've got a 3 million Rand bond on refinancing. At 9% over 20 years, your payments will be 26,000 Rand. Now, of course, they're going to tell you, you get tenants and they are going to pay and you're going to work with other people's time and other people's effort. It's just a bullshit story for you to do what they tell you so that they can sell more properties, so that they can get more commissions, so that they can get more feedback and kickback from bond originating and trust and funny stories. I don't like funny stories. Okay, so the difference between you have paid 8,997 Rand, you're now paying 26,000 is 17,000 Rand in terms of cash flow. In the new scenario, your total cash flow per month, the difference between the two will be, now you're going to pay 17,000 Rand, you've paid 8,000, so the difference is 8,997. So per month, it's 8,997 Rand. In terms of the risk, there's 100% monthly payment, repayment risk. Plus you've got an additional 1 million Rand risk in terms of capital. Okay, so that to me does not make any sense. But this is only the beginning of the problem. You see, in an up market, maybe this can work. But the moment that the market stagnate or turn around, and I'm guaranteeing that it's busy turning around because the first interest rate increase in a very long, over a long period has happened last week. And I've been warning my students for the last 3 years that this is going to happen. And I warned them about the effect of refinancing in terms of negative gearing. Now, there are people that tells you negative gearing is good for the receiver. It's nonsense. Because in the next video, in the next clip, I'm going to show you what negative gearing really is and the dangers about that if you do not follow the Property Pro investment strategy, and if you do not follow the wealth creator strategy that's basically built into it. So in the next video, I'm going to show you the dangers of negative gearing. But to do that, I want to use the Excel spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the presentation basically with a screen capturing, getting my voice so that you can follow what I'm explaining. And then you'll see the massive danger there is in refinancing in order to grow. Instead of using the roll-in strategy to grow your portfolio.